Welcome back, team. I hope you're all enjoying the new season. There's definitely a ton of very exciting changes, especially for top lane. But it can be a little bit overwhelming at first, this new, very fast-paced game. So today I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 tips that'll help you climb in Season 16. These are all things that I've been trying to implement into my own gameplay recently, and I've been having a ton of success. So if that sounds good to you, I'll timestamp them all down below, and let's get started. Hey everyone, real quick, if you truly feel like you're struggling to adapt to the new season, and you feel yourself left in the dust a little bit, I strongly recommend joining the Top Lane Academy, so you can be coached by me personally and check out a bunch of new content I'm making for Season 16. But other than that, I hope to see you there, and let's get to it. Starting off with our first tip, and this is definitely the biggest question I've been asked by far on the season, and nothing even comes close. And the question is, should I be taking combat summoner spells now? Should I take Ignite more often? Should I take Exhaust into champs like Riven? Because I get a free TP anyway with my quest, so should I change up my summoner spells? And the short answer to this question is no. You should still take TP in almost every single matchup that you were doing so before. And I'll explain why. So, first of all, TP is still an extremely broken laning rune. There are too many matchups in the game where if you don't have TP, it's very, very difficult to play. So you can take it for defensive purposes, but also for offensive purposes as well. TP is very powerful for dominating your lane 1v1, even more than a summoner spell like Ignite is in most cases. So I'll show an example real quick. You can see here Jax versus Vladimir. I could have gone Ignite and hoped, 12 minutes I'll get my free quest done, I'll get my free TP. But you can see in this game here that Vladimir plays okay early game to the point where he's pushing me in. I'm staying high CS. I can't really do anything. He's out-sustains me. He's range versus melee. But you can see what I do here. I leverage my TP. I sneak off a recall, TP back with item and resource advantage, and I use that to kill him. I couldn't play for that kill with low resources that I had earlier, even if I had Ignite or Exhaust or Ghost, whatever you want to take. So TP is still an even more aggressive option a lot of times as well. Now, the champions that don't take TP anyway, champs like Garen, champs like Riven, or our ghosty boys like Olaf and Darius, this is just a straight buff for you. It's really good. You get a free TP. Now, there were some matchups I saw some students like TP on Garen, even though I'm not a fan, or even on Riven sometimes. Don't do that anymore. Even on Olaf, some games into like a Gragas or a Tahm, something boring, I would have taken TP last season. Now I'll stay with the same spells. So make sure if you are playing TP hating champs, don't squeeze in TP. You don't need to anymore, because you can get that free TP anyway, and then you want your Ignite on Garen and Riven, you want your Ghost on Olaf, so this is definitely a nice buff for them. Another factor why on every other champ that normally takes TP, while you're still going to run it, is the TP shield is actually really, really strong. It lasts such a long time, I think it's around 30 seconds, and you can utilize that for a team fight. You can TP in more aggressively to a dragon fight, you can bash towers in front of people. It's just such a powerful shield that you can utilize, so that's actually going to outperform Ignite in a late game team fight, of course, and even having a lower cooldown TP. And that is the final and one of the biggest reasons of all. The free TP that you get has a massive cooldown. It is a 7-minute cooldown. Cosmic Insight does help a little bit, but not every champion can take that. So the cooldown is way too long. You're probably only going to get about 2 uses from it a game. Of course, depends what rank you're in or how long the games are going. But I would say it's definitely something where it's on cooldown so long, you only get 1 or 2 uses of it. It's still good, of course, on champs that don't normally have it, like Olaf, we're going to take what we can get. But on a champion that normally really likes TP, like a Jax or like a Camille, it feels really bad when you don't take him. Now, there's one final exception I want to give for this tip here. The exception are matchups where both options are really, really good. And my favorite example for this is Jax versus Olaf. Jax versus Olaf, in my opinion, the best way to run it is lethal tempo and Ignite or TP. Now, usually I'll decide based on the jungle matchup. If they've got Pantheon and I've got Kayn, okay, I'll go TP. I don't have a jungler this game. And if it's the reverse, if I have a jungler that likes to do stuff for the first 20 minutes of the game, I can take Ignite and play a bit more aggressive. But now, on this new season, I'll take Ignite way more often, because I'm going to get that TP anyway, and Ignite is a really big game changer for that matchup. So that's kind of the only exception. That's why I like to say don't take TP 100% of the time that you would before. Take it at 95. But if you're ever unsure, just default to what you did last season. Run TP, you're going to be in a good spot. The summoner spell is still very broken. You don't feel like you're missing out on not getting a free TP. The extra buff to it, the big shield you get, is definitely game changing as well. Moving on to tip number 2, which is related to wave control, and I do have a wave control guide on the way for the new season, don't panic, but for now a little bit of an entree. The second tip is to slow down your push. The reason why you want to slow down your push more so in general is one of the biggest changes to wave control this season is not actually the wave 3 cannon. That's also pretty big, but the biggest one, in my opinion, is the minion move speed. They went from 325 to 350. So Riot put little Nike boots onto all of them. They are extremely quick. The reason why that matters is because if you're slow pushing versus hard pushing, the timing is very different. So the best example is wave 1. I have an example here of the very first game I played on the season. Jax versus Aatrox here. I killed wave 1 at the exact same speed that I would have on last season. I tried to kill the last minute of wave 1 before wave 2 arrived, all that good stuff. I killed it the exact same way, and wave 2 got stuck in a very ugly position. And this ended my lane. He could trade onto me, I couldn't really get the wave under tower. It was very, very brutal. So after that, never tried to make that mistake again, but it's important for you to adapt. Learn from my mistake here. The minions are very quick. So my tip for this, for the first 3, is to slow down your push on wave 1. Before, I would say kill the first minion of wave 1 before wave 2 arrives, because you want your wave 1 to move up a little bit before crashing wave 2. You still want it to move up a little bit, but be careful. I wouldn't kill that last minion of wave 1 before their wave 2 is actually past their tower, out in the open, so you know that wave 2 won't get stuck under tower. So wave 2 crashing is still going to be done, I'd say, more often than a wave 3 this season. More info to come on that later, but just make sure you're not pushing wave 1 too quickly. Last season, a wave 1 crash was kind of unheard of this season. It is possible. Don't do it. Slow it down to wave crash. Adapt to the minion movement speed. Another factor to keep in mind, not just for the first 3 waves, is your slow pushing versus hard pushing. This in general, you're going to have to recalibrate. You need to know when to slow push a wave and when to hard push a wave. I've made a bunch of content on this, but the timing is a little bit different. But unfortunately for you, I don't have a one answer like I do for wave 1. I don't have one sentence I can say that's going to make you a master at it. You just have to review when you mess it up and see, should I have slow push, should I have hard push? Ask yourself that question and really try to optimize. I do have a little bit of advice for this though. If the wave is near their side of the tower, it's pushing to them. Hard push is probably going to be correct most of the time. And if the wave is near your side, slow push will be right most of the time. This is a general rule, especially for early game. Later on, you can kind of one-shot whatever wave you want, but that's more of a general rule that you can follow. There are variables like the champ you're versing, what they can do to the wave, how big your wave is, stuff like that. But that's something you can do. You can imagine if you kill the wave in front of their tower with the minion movement speed, they're just going to boost straight into it. So it is a little bit easier that way. But yeah, knowing when to slow push, knowing when to hard push can be a bit tricky. So make sure you're keeping that in mind and maybe slowing down your push a bit more in situations that you wouldn't have done before. Tip number 3 is defend your crust. Now you might be wondering what the crust is. This is what we in the TLA call the crystalline overgrowth, but that's a really dumb name. Crust is way better. Now, defend your crust. So the reason why this is so important, why you want to make it as hard as possible for your opponent to proc it, is it's way more efficient if you're proccing it off cooldown. It has a 90-second cooldown, but even if you don't proc it, it does start building and building and building, and the true damage does get bigger as the time goes on. The longer that it goes without proccing, the bigger the chunk of damage is going to be. But it is way more efficient to proc it as much as you can off cooldown. So I just did a quick example here in Training Tool. I'll show a bit of B-roll from real games as well, but this Training Tool is a clear example. I procced it here twice. Once, you can see here, 252 damage. Second time, 288. That's going to be 540. I hate crunching numbers for League. I don't think it's that important, but just for this example. And then the second one, we let it build for the exact same amount of time. Boom, just 372. So 540 versus 372, you can see it's a big difference in damage. So you want to be playing for it as much as you can yourself and defending it as much as possible from your opponent. So make it hard for them. A lot of players that I'm playing against now in Korea, when I'm walking up to the crust, they go on me straight away. They make it hard. They do not want to give you it for free. So make sure you're doing that to your opponents as well. Don't just let them stroll up. Don't sit under tower farming. If they're positioned and they're posturing in a way where they want to collect their crust, defend it. You need to attack them. Keep in mind, once the minions have locked onto your tower, they don't change their mind no matter what. It doesn't matter if you have 40 minions, 50 minions hitting your tower. That's a bit of a stretch. It doesn't matter if you have 2 waves hitting your tower. If they're actually locked onto the tower and you auto-attack your opponent, they will not turn onto you, so don't fear the wave. Once it's locked onto the tower, defend your crust at all costs. Now, this really applies to the late game as well. You might be in some matchups where they do get a proc or 2, and that's perfectly fine if there's nothing you can do about it. But if you make a mistake later on, I'm talking 12, 11 minutes, and you die to a gank or die 1v1, your tower's gone. It just takes way too much damage. It's just buttery. So you can see I have an example here where I got killed eating the enemy golems. Very, very greedy. And my whole tower got decimated. The Urgot was completely out of the game before that mistake. He became kind of useful after that, I guess. But he just got way too much free gold there. So, of course, don't die is pretty bad advice. Just make sure, though, if you do make a mistake in the later part of the game, and it does cost you your whole tower and a big proc of that crust, you are reviewing it, you're taking it seriously, because mistakes around that time of the game matter more than last season. Moving on to tip number 4, and this one's for all the players that are really struggling with the new fast-paced gameplay. The wave spawning every 25 seconds past minute 14 is definitely a massive deal. Gets faster later on, but I've seen a lot of people saying, I feel like I can't even leave side wave anymore to go team fight because there's just wave after wave I have to deal with. So my advice for this is just to speed up your decision making in the mid game. And that sounds a little bit like Korean advice, just don't die, just keep perfect CS, but I'm going to be a bit more specific. So the way to speed up your mid game is the rule I like to teach. Once the play is done, we base or go back to side as soon as possible. So what that means is any type of fight you make, a pick on mid, a dragon fight, anything at all, you need to be ending it quickly. Almost every single student I've ever worked with, doesn't matter if they're in Master Tier, Challenger, Gold, Bronze, they are wasting so much time in game. Even if the fight goes well, I'll see them a dragon, win a good fight, and instead of ending the play quickly, they chase an extra kill. They might even get the kill or get their flash, but they spend a lot of time. They go help AD carry push mid, they break the mid tower, they leash the dragon. Time waste, all of it. Once your play is done, base if you need to, and go back to side lane as soon as possible. There's the #1 rule that you can follow to make your gameplay a lot more fast-paced. If you crash a wave under top tier 2, rock up to carry a dragon fight and instantly base and go straight back to top, especially with the new home guard, you're not going to lose that tier 2 as long as your timing is really on point. And keep in mind, even though there is faster paced waves, the game is faster as well, meaning Baron spawns at 20. It doesn't matter if they get a couple plates bottom. If you win a Baron fight and get Baron, the game's going to end for the enemy team, so don't feel too pressured. Yes, it's a lot harder if you don't win side lane 1v1, but that's always been extremely important for top lane. It doesn't matter if the waves come a little bit faster now. You need to be doing well enough so that you can get prior, then you have the options. But yes, you do have to be faster on your decision making. You do have to know when the play is done. So I recommend reviewing your game and seeing all the times you made a play and you felt like, I lost too many waves top, or I lost some plates, and see how much time you wasted. I guarantee there is so much time wasted there helping your jungler kill the dragon, getting to the dragon maybe too early when you should have pushed one extra top wave. There's always a solution to it. You've got to get specific and find it instead of just going, wave's too fast, can't do anything. Find out why they're too fast for you, because a lot of players are not struggling with it as long as their timing is good. And finally, we have tip number 5, which is to make sure you're impacting bot lane as much as possible. No surprise to anyone, last season, jungle and support were the strongest roles in the game, and top and AD carry were 2 of the worst. It's completely different now. Of course, I've only been playing for a couple of days, but my initial read is AD carry and top are 2 of the strongest roles in the game at the moment. Top and AD carry. Top is the strongest during the first 20 minutes, and then AD carry becomes the strongest. So what that means is, last season, playing around jungle was more important because the role was so overpowered. Now playing around bot lane is more important than ever, so make sure you're trying to utilize your TP to bottom or roam bottom as much as you can. Don't be ridiculous with it, don't drop 5 plates in the tower, of course, but look to impact the game. So I have 2 really good examples here on a Zehen game. You can see, judging by the score at the top, this game is doomed. My bot lane got obliterated, everyone is playing pretty poorly. So the only chance I have to win this game is to make a play. My opponent's playing quite safe, proxying on Yi. Pretty sure that's Kelsev actually. And I have no real way to gain an individual lead. So instead, impacting bot lane was my way to actually win this game. You can see this TP, this first TP, able to get a couple of kills here. And then the next TP, I'm pretty much TPing bottom off cooldown. Always looking to impact it. If you don't have wards, ping for it. Try to get them down there because you want to be being as impactful as possible. You don't always have to TP. A good play to do is run to the play, especially a second dragon fight. Really big deal. Run there and TP back to top. It's also something you can do. Very, very impactful. Sometimes if it's later on, if your lane's been going for a while, it's a 14, 15 minutes, you can just run straight bottom if they're still laning, get a couple kills, drop the top tower. That's also fine later on. Don't do that at 5 minutes, but later on is okay. So impacting bot lane, extremely important. You can kind of see him in most of my recent games, actually, more games than not. I've been looking to TP bottom constantly. Way less about the 1v1, more about how can I use my lead to impact bot lane in this game. You see, it doesn't matter if I'm Jax, Olaf, Camille, I'm always trying to get down there and swing the game in my team's favor. So definitely put more mental stack towards how can I do this? Can I save my TP and just drop 3 or 4 minions with the new home guards as well? It's fine to just run back to lane and drop a couple creeps to hold that TP. Be a lot less greedy with your teleport. My first few games, my biggest regret, I would say, is using the new TP on Olaf, the 7-minute cooldown one, back to top, instead of looking for a bot lane, or just using TPs back to top in general. So definitely, especially with your second teleport of the game or the free teleport you get after doing your quest, look to be as impactful as possible around bottom. Because later on in the game when AD carries start to get 3-4 items, you want your AD carry ahead. And even if your AD carry sucks later on, even with those items, even getting a couple kills and slowing down the enemy bot snowball or shutting them down early game, maybe even tilting them a little bit from their top gap, can be the biggest difference maker in the game that you can do in the early stages. Alright everyone, we'll wrap that up for today. Hope you enjoyed the video and learned a couple of things. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments. And make sure you subscribe for more Season 16 content to come shortly.